This is Tomas Anderson coming to you live from my Honda Civic outside the Eagle River Library since my Wi-Fi stopped working at home. My project is a literature unit for a fifth grade classroom that is above grade level. I have no supplies, no textbooks, no workbooks. Uh, Myself and another teacher are going to be working with above grade level students. Classroom management is going to be a point for me to keep the project moving along since it's going to be all literature based and technology based and communication based. We've had a lot of issues with using technology in the school, kids being distracted, using them inappropriately, inappropriate images being looked up, passing notes electronically, basically everything that everyone says, oh, if you do it right, they won't do it. Well, they did it. So I'm hoping if I do classroom management correctly that those things won't happen. I'm gonna have to make sure I hook the student and using online resources like readwritethink.org, and I'll get into that later. The NetS standard that I'm going to be concentrating on is standard 3, which is researching information and fluency. I like this because I think that it covers everything that I need for this project at school. So the kids will be reading novels and then communicating online and publishing online. Uh, Quickly, I'll talk about the stages. Stage 2, evaluative criteria is going to be information, recording, using planning sheets, online tools. They'll be responding online in forums, and they'll be turning in electronic copies and presenting electronically in the end. Uh, there's also an option for students who cannot or do not want to do that. They can do kind of a mixture and present a physical project at the end. Uh, they'll be reading novels, they'll be using technology to keep notes and relevant information. They'll be posting their main ideas in forums. That's Collaborate Classroom. I really like that site. I found it. And they'll be presenting a final project in the computer lab to parents and teachers and other students that come into the room. My rubric is based on a 4-point system that we use for our standards-based report card. 4 is above grade level, 3 is on track, 2 is that they're making progress, and a 1 is basically they're stagnant and there needs to be some sort of intervention. If a student stays at 2 for a long time, we'll be doing some intervention as well. Um, but some students just don't pick up or get the idea until a little bit later on. So we have net S standards that I'm going to be grading or scoring. Um, Alaska content standards that I'm going to be looking at are references using APA style. That was a personal preference. They're going to be having to state main ideas, explaining main ideas, and supporting their opinions. Why do they feel that that's the main idea of supporting evidence from the text? Um, Summarizing the novel, noting key characters throughout. That was kind of a summary of that standard where they have to do basically a character study and talk about how the character or characters have changed throughout the story. And then if it applies, like if they have an audiobook as a companion, or if there's a movie and they watch it, or if someone reads it to them, um, they can compare how those different venues create a different picture uh, in the story. For instance, an audiobook, sometimes hearing someone else read it differently than the way that you read it can give you a different idea, or the movie can change things, or seeing a visual representation of what was on screen can change how you interpret what happened, or it takes it in a whole other direction. So if it applies, um, that standard can be used for the rubric. I hope that the students will communicate ideas through a variety of mediums, electronic and otherwise, without plagiarizing. So I'm hoping that they really take referencing other people's work seriously, because basically if you get it out of a book that you just read, it wasn't not your idea. Uh, and I want them to understand that is an important thing. Um, Students are going to be taking away uh, um, different resources for getting information and communicating information, collaborating, where they can get the information from, um, cool and informative ways to present, and how uh, absorbing information in different ways can change the way that you interpret it. Communicating online is something new that's going to be happening in our school, so I'm hoping that it's successful given the different ways that the students have to communicate. Many of our students have tablets, they have smartphones. Most of them will have access to a PC during this block of time of the day, and I'm hoping that they use it. And for the lesson, I'm hoping to hook them in a few different ways. Um, I'm going to introduce the unit to the whole class. We're going to talk about the key components, get all the dirty work out of the way, and then quickly move into the computer lab where students can play with the different online resources. They can communicate. I'm going to have a little quiz where the kids will hopefully be able to answer the questions to things that we just learned. There will be easy questions to get them excited. Everyone can get a prize. Um, Not everyone that just answers first, but everyone that gets correct answers will be able to um, get get a prize. And I'm hoping that's going to hook them into using those tools correctly and often in the project. Read, Write, Think has some very cool tools. At the end, they're going to present for about 10 minutes to teachers, parents, and other students, and they can mingle and look at other students' projects. Everything's going to be posted in the hall or in visible areas of the school. What I really liked about these tools that I'm using is a readwritethink.org, the essay map. Is going to be a great way for students to get their ideas down. So when they start presenting or start brainstorming how they're going to present this project or gather information each week from what they read, they can post it here. The introduction could be to the novel. So they would write their intro here. So they're going to put their information here, and this is just something quick. They're not actually writing their paper, and it will give them the skeleton to start their project. So I don't actually want them creating their project along the way. I want them to have something down on paper so that they can focus on the actual taking in of the information and knowledge. And later on, they can put it all together as they collaborate with their groups. So each idea will have supporting ideas and details, and then in the end there is a conclusion. If students don't want to do this, or if they're having a hard time coming up with ideas, they can save it for later. It saves a special readwritethink.org file that they can save on their computer, and then edit it later. And it will only work with readwritethink.org. If they don't want to type online at first, they can always handwrite things as they go along. There's a little blank map that they can print out, and they can handwrite their ideas in there and then submit an electronic copy later on. And then after you create your electronic copy, you can always print it when that's done as well. If they don't want to do that one, they all have the other option of using a cube creator. Cube creators are very cool because they can actually print these out and have a physical 3D project to show when they're done with their book. So side one, your name or who you're writing about. This is the biography one if they read a biography. The time period and the place. So basically we have the setting. Side 2 is some personal background information. Side 3 of the cube is going to be personality traits. So this could be a character study. Significance, why was this person important? Some main ideas there. Obstacles that the person overcame. So that would be part of the character study. And then a quote from the book. This would be really handy with the reference portion of the project. When they're done with that, they finish and print, or they can just print out a planning sheet. The planning sheets that I like because if the students don't have access to electronics at that time, they still can participate. And then they can always add it in later. So this is basically something that we would hand out to students anyway when they're doing a project. The only thing that's different is that it has an electronic um, piece to accompany it. They can also save this one online as well. Real-time board is an online collaboration tool. I have all the steps planned out. They would all be invited via email. All of our students are going to have a Gmail account, a Google Drive account, and I can share the link. I can invite them all through that email, and they can post projects and messages here. I have the rubric there. And it gives them all of their options and all the requirements. They can create an essay or report. They can create a Google Doc, a Microsoft document. They can real-time board it. They can screencast-o-matic like what I'm doing. They can do a read, write, think cube or an essay, or they can create a poster or display. And then the final project is going to be presented to a group, as I said before. They're going to be posting here at Collaborate Classroom. Posting comments and then replying to each other as well. Post your opinion about what the main idea, what the story was all about, and then they have to have a response to someone else's idea. Did you agree? Do you disagree? And why? That is my project in a 13-minute nutshell. Thank you very much.